Here we go.
Hello, everybody. So first question, how many developers are there? Okay, good. A few architects also, maybe? Okay. So about no code, I'm a developer, so I code, of course, but I also love no code, and I'm a CTO and co-founder of a Mindflow company. Mindflow is a startup, it's a French startup. We are 20 people, very enthusiastic about building a no-code platform. We are building an enterprise automation platform, and I'm going to present some of the challenge doing that. But first, are you afraid about enterprise no-code? Because basically, no-code is a negative form of code, and the first feeling about it is that, okay, I will lose my job. Of course, no-code will, at some point, replace some of the code. But remember, the best no-code platform exists for a long time. Excel has replaced a lot of manual work for accountants and other people. And it's not new. And Excel, it is still there. Of course, maybe challenged by some other companies. But are you really afraid of no-code? I don't think so, because after all, no-code is just developing, and it's something which is really the same thing, but with a different form. I did some assembly in the 80s myself, because I'm not too young. And of course, I didn't do assembly for a long time. I did some C, some Java, some Python, now some TypeScript, and all of that stuff. One huge difference with no-code is the speed. Because when you use no-code, either in Airtable, Notion, or Mindflow, you're creating the same stuff, but you are way faster than that. So, okay, the code will still be there. There are also some people still doing some assembly today, some C, some Java, and all of that. So don't be afraid about no code. No code is also, at some point, automation. We cannot talk about code and no code without automation. This is the basic brick of automation today. Is automation new? I don't know, but I've been also with some Linux folks. And if you see this nice symbol here, the pipe symbol that you see here, what it is, it's kind of automation. You run a first command, and then you write the second command, and then you're creating some workflows. The first one is quite easy to understand. Okay, it's just to see your nice TV series when you want to look at it or to grab some music from YouTube. The second one is a bit more difficult to understand, but that's okay. It's killing, because I have a comment here, it's killing the Finder process on macOS. But what about the next one? Can you understand that in a few seconds? That's challenging. But there is someone who knows about that. It's called the ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT now to explain that. That's nice. But if you read that, it's nice, but it's still complicated. Huh? So let's talk about no-code automation for humans, at least for now. Okay, we'll see that in 10 years or less, but we'll see that. But again, no-code automation, is it new? But no, it's not new. I'm old enough to see plenty of workflow engine and technology to do that. IBM was one of the first one, but I guess that they are also older than that. So that failed, actually. Sorry, but no-code automation, even if it exists since the 90s, it still failed. Why? Do you know why? It's strange. I mean, 30 years to do something. Why? Okay, we call it no-code now, but sorry, it already exists. One of the reasons, but not all the reason, and I will detail that, I've been a corporate guy for many years. And in corporate, there is this nice stuff that you have folks who manage process on one side, and the others that automate process on the other side. They try to communicate together, but it's not hard enough, actually. So you have, of course, plenty of people creating some nice Confluence page or any kind of wiki page. It's a bit boring. It's always obsolete the time you write it. And there are some people, I qualify that as heroes, who write this kind of stuff with Kubernetes and all those things. But again, to understand that, it's pretty hard. So today, what does it take exactly to automate in the enterprise if you are with the tools that you know? The first thing is that first you need to master a programming language and its environment. So most of the people understand no code on this one, but that's a bit limited. It's not only that. There is a second thing, because automation is about orchestrating many tools. You have probably in all of your companies a lot of tools. So you need, even if you're a developer, to know all of those tools, and you need to know their APIs. And the third thing, it's not yet finished, then your code is not only the things that you need to write, you need to deploy and maintain. So sorry, but it's a hard time, and you know that. You finished your development, and then someone has to deploy that. So, okay, you can hire some DevOps to do that, but it's not finished. And spoiler, but you can solve the first one. You can solve the third one if you have some money. You can hire some devs. You can have some operations. But on the API, how can you solve that? Can you ask a human to know, I don't know, like a lot of APIs, more than Pokemon here? On average, there are more than 50 apps per team, more than 200 apps per company, and it's growing. So how could you, as a developer or a no-code developer, how could you orchestrate that? It's impossible. You cannot learn API. You go on AWS, you read the AWS documentation. It's 280 services, more than I think it's 15,000 operations. Of course, you don't need all of them, but you need to learn that. Then you go to Azure, and then you read another documentation. By the way, it's not consistent. It's completely different. The feeling is different. And every time you have a new stuff, Slack, ServiceNow, Atlassian, and all of that. So, okay, game over. You cannot do that with code, actually. And that's why today, most of the operations team, the ones that have no developers, they cannot automate because they cannot have developers, but they cannot know about APIs. So if you don't have a solution, you would continue with silos. Some people defining process and some people coding the process. It's a poor user experience, limited collaboration, limited governance, heavy cost in development, sorry. It's good for us, developers, but not for the value, and it's a low-value automation. Until now, okay, you already guessed that I'm here with the product, but before looking at the product, the main point here is, regardless of the automation platform that you will use, you will always have this challenge to integrate with the different stuff. So it means that an automation platform, let's be clear, it needs to orchestrate everything. If you want to buy an automation platform and it's just, okay, it orchestrates part of AWS, a few things here and there, but it's good. Okay, it's no code, but it doesn't integrate everything. So you are still with developers and operations, and you need to develop, like developing a connector or something like that. So if we want really to, the no-code and the no-code community needs to solve that problem, we need to be able to integrate everything. And what has changed since a few years is that everyone is delivering APIs. Fortunately, we have APIs. So it means that now we can automate what we can't automate before. Because now and more, APIs can collaborate together, and we can, of course, connect every piece of software. So let me try to do a fun demo now. I'm going to present a bit Mindflow. Mindflow is a platform like this where you can create some automation units, some playbooks or some flows. I'm going to show you one flow, which is here. And you know, I mean, I believe that most of you have tested GPT so far, ChatGPT, right? It's becoming a bit boring, but I decided to do something with GPT. I think it's the last time. After that, I think nobody will want to hear about GPT anymore. In Mindflow, you can create some kind of workflows like that, okay? Pretty much like some other automation workflows platform, but we have a nice user experience, a bit like Miro, Notion. We can move everything everywhere, directly edit things, very modern, and we have also emojis. You know, if you don't have emojis, you cannot live without that. So it's good to have that, and as you read it, the first thing you see is that you can read it. The developers here and the non-developers here, you can read what it does. That's a big value for no code. You cannot do that with code, sorry. You need to learn a language. So this is about managing a customer support workflows. I'm going to send an email. It will run this workflow. I will extract with them some AI magic from AWS, the sentiment of the email. Is it negative? Is it positive? And then, depending on the sentiment, I will generate some sarcastic response with GPT, just for fun. And then reply to the email, extract a summary, not for fun, because a summary of a customer support request is something that can be efficient enough, so you cannot, you would be able not to read all of the support requests, but just the summary. And fortunately, GPT is a good summary engine. And you can create that in a ticket, because you are in an enterprise, you want to create people for others to solve. Okay, so let's try to do that. I'm going to go to the compose email here. I'm sending to a special address, of course, for the purpose of the demo. And I'm going to send a request for some car incident. I'm setting that, and the workflow here in a few seconds or minutes, so I'm going to talk now, will go step after step. And then the important part, why I'm talking, is how can I add those actions here? That is the important part. I can have a very large integration library here. And with Mindflow, this library has no limit. It contains everything. So here it's executing the different stuff, executing GPT. I can look a little bit, because you're a developer, you're interested by that, even if it's no code. You can obtain this panel, and you see that there are different attributes here. These are the attributes needed for GPT to give a brief summary of the email. I can just show here what the email is, exactly to have a preview. And then, of course, the fun part is to look at the results, because first it has sent an answer here, which is random, sometimes sarcastic. I don't know, I haven't read this one, but it's pretty funny in general. And of course, in Jira, you have the boring part. You can open the ticket, and here you have this kind of things. I don't think this one is a good one. Let me just check. Yeah, you have these kind of things. You see the original email is long enough, and you have a summary here, which is easier to read for humans. So that is just an example. I don't deliver here a workflow that you can use at scale for now, but it gives you some ideas of what you can do. If you were to do that stuff, developing it, it would take, I don't know, maybe 1 week, if you're good enough. Okay, I did it yesterday afternoon in 2 hours, not to lie, because I needed to know a little bit more about GPT. But it was just 2 hours to do. So, to finish, let me show you about the integration capabilities. I think this is the value behind it. It means that in a solution today, regardless of the vendor, you need to have this large list of vendors supported in your platform. It means that when I click on a cloud provider, I want all of the services, all of the operation supported in any case. So that's what Mindflow is doing. Maybe coming back on the sarcastic stuff, so you can read it. Thank you.
That was impressive. Thanks for the demo. Who has questions about either Mindflow, either GPT-3, who has tried GPT-3 before? Just to see, or we're, okay, not if you, maybe it's a developer stuff, you know, maybe it's only coding people, but cool. Any question? Okay, All right. Yeah, yeah, there is one over here.
I don't see. Can you do webhook connection?
Yes.
Okay, just
We can do webhook, we can do email, we can have multiple triggers, like
Okay.
in any automation platform, I guess.
okay, nice. So it's like Make and Zapier in terms of.
Yes, every workflow engine on the planet, I guess, they support webhook now.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yes.
Any other question? I have a question, maybe so that people can better understand. What does you were talking about application orchestration. What would you explain? How would you explain orchestration for someone who is not from the tech industry?
Yeah. It's like when you do classical music. You have several people playing different instruments, but in the end, you want a music. So orchestration is, I mean, it's simple, but it's like that. You have some developers, you have some business people, you have some marketing, you have some support, and you all want them to work together. And the only way to do that is to have a no-code platform like this, which is user-friendly. If you don't, if it's not user-friendly, you cannot really collaborate, and then you end up creating some Confluence page.
Okay, super. Well, thank you very much, Fabrice.
you.
Give it a round of applause for Fabrice, and it was an amazing demo.